Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Ricardo, and I'm joined today by my colleague Daniel Gallo.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Whether you are a long-time TeamCity user or just exploring what our platform can do for you, we are excited to have you here. Over the next hour, we'll be taking you through everything you need to know about TeamCity latest developments and what's coming next. We'll start by discussing our release cycle and how we are continuously improving the platform. Then, we'll dive into recently released features that are already helping teams build, test, and deploy faster code that scales. We'll also get a live demonstration of new capabilities in action. And after that, we'll share our roadmap so that you can see where we are headed and how it aligns with your team's needs. We'll also cover some important updates to our licensing model, as well as support options and professional services available to help you get the most out of TeamCity. And of course, we've reserved some time at the end for questions. Please feel free to drop them in the chat as we go along, and we'll address as many as we can during our Q&A section. So let's get started. Over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. First of all, we're going to do a recap on our release cycle and how often we release new versions of TeamCity. So we do 3 major releases per year. And for example, this year we had 2025-03, 07, and 11. And we also release monthly bug fix updates. For example, with the July release, we had 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. And you can upgrade and downgrade between those minor versions without any issues. As a heads up, the version number format is changing next year. So from 2026 onwards, the version numbering will be brought in line with other JetBrains tools. So the first version will be 2026.1 and then 0.2, 0.3. And the minor updates will follow the same concept as before, so 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. And Ricardo is now going to go through a list of some of the recently released features in TeamCity. So over to Ricardo.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. So I'm excited to walk you through the latest TeamCity features released in the version 2024.12. And the first feature that I would like to highlight is the Kubernetes executor mode. We have released the ability to run builds directly on Kubernetes clusters. Each build step runs in its own container with separate Docker images. With this, you'll have zero infrastructure management and let Kubernetes handle everything, which will allow you to spin up builds instantly without managing a single agent. We have also worked on the Perforce integration, and we have released multiple Perforce shelf triggers per build configuration, but also worked on automated workspace cleanup with flexible scheduling, as well as smart workspace management after the build is complete. These will result in cleaner environments and more flexibility for your teams, and it's perfect for companies using complex Perforce repositories. Another area improved was conditional dependencies in build chains. With this being released, you can now skip specific stages in your build chains based on conditions, as well as run selective execution of build stages. We have also released one-click build chain approval, and this feature made approving the entire build chain with a single click possible. With this, there is no more individual build approvals and a simplified permission workflow. Additionally, we made OAuth token management improvements as well. And with this feature, we brought the centralized token management in the project administration. The goal here was to provide easy creation and configuration of custom tokens, as well as a visual token lifecycle management. I think you'll love this because of this user-friendly UI, no more command line token juggling, as well as better security for those short-lived tokens to be easily rotated. We have also worked on custom Kotlin DSL libraries, and that allows you to reuse code at scale. After this release, you can now upload custom Kotlin libraries as jars to TeamCity server. You can share DSL code across projects as Maven dependencies, and there's a centralized configuration management that you can use. We believe that this was important so that you can now write it once, use it everywhere, and share best practices across teams. There are also improvements on the AWS EC2 integration. With this, we release a unified AWS connection for all AWS services. There's a connection-based authentication replacing those scattered credentials, meaning one connection for EC2, S3, and all the other AWS features. But there were also other performance improvements. We dramatically improved the AWS EC2 agent performance. We optimized the build list and project tree fetching. And we also released front-end optimizations for faster UI updates. Another big step was towards a modern UI experience. With this, we included improvements for better navigation, refreshed icons and visual design, but also this release comes with a foundation for TeamCity pipelines, and this integration we'll be addressing later today. On version 2025.03, we have worked on many product features and improvements, such as the recipes, previously known as meta runners. So with this release, meta runners evolve into recipes with XML support today and YAML coming soon. This started with JetBrains authored recipes available on the marketplace, and comes with ready-to-use solutions, as well as this marketplace ecosystem, so you can share and discover community recipes. If you need to set up a Node.js testing, just grab a recipe from the marketplace, and there's no more copy-pasting build steps. We have also worked on the Perforce manual and automatic merge support. With this, we made available the automatic merge feature for configurations using Perforce VCS routes. The manual merge option in the Actions build menu for targeting Perforce streams is now available, providing a seamless integration with existing Perforce workflows. We also made some improvement on the output parameters. Parameters are now separated into input and output categories, and the output parameters have explicit access permissions, so you can safely share parameters between builds using them. We also improved Docker and Podman integration, so you can now run the new running Docker build feature for running all steps in one container is available. There's Kotlin script steps now supporting container wrapper. The Docker support was renamed to Docker registry connections for better clarity, and container settings are now available at the recipe level. We have also worked on some modern UX updates with the edit button replaced with settings toggle. The project settings organized into logical categories, and the build configuration settings arranged as tabs. So 2025.07 was the moment for the early access preview of pipelines. Pipelines bring YAML support and advanced visual editor with drag and drop interface. It came to simplify the setup to configure registries and connections in links, in clicks, not scripts. Currently in early access with limited features, but the full version is expected in early 2026. We continued also working on the Perforce integration, now with multiple Perforce shelf triggers per configuration, new workspace cleanup dialog with configurable inactivity periods, as well as a workspace cleanup, both for bare metal and cloud agents after the builds. We have also allowed third-party recipes in the marketplace. With this release, we brought support for third-party recipes on the JetBrains marketplace, and those third-party recipes are verified by JetBrains. This also came with the ability to upload your own recipes with metadata and namespace support. We have also worked on project isolation. There are new project isolation settings to protect sensitive configurations. You can prevent external projects from adding dependencies or importing artifacts, and you can control exactly who can access your build outputs. We have also developed more build approval conditions. This brings flexibility to combinations like I need any two from a specific Q&A team, or one person from the Q&A team and one team lead. Previously, it was required for all conditions to be met, and now TeamCity approval rules support the OR logic operator. This makes more intuitive the configuration of those approval rules. On top of this, we did some updates on Kubernetes Executor as well. We brought native integration with TeamCity prioritization mechanisms, implicit requirements recognition for Docker, Podman, .NET SDK needs, as well as numbers of bug fixes, including build limits and PowerShell issues. Last but not least, we have released some UX improvements. We have redesigned the sidebar with a quick add button for projects, configs, and pipelines. There's now an auto hide panel option to maximize your workspace, a what's new widget to keep you informed on the updates, as well as the option for a full screen mode on the build logs. And now over to Daniel to talk more about pipelines in detail.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. So as Ricardo mentioned, pipelines is a core feature that we added, or we're adding into the product, and the 2025-07 release saw the first early access of pipelines. And the whole concept of pipelines is to bring the pipelines to the forefront of the TeamCity user interface. It provides a single view where you can view and edit the build pipeline, its jobs, and all of its steps. There's a rich UI where you can drag and drop the dependencies between the jobs in the pipeline for much easier configuration. It gives a better overall visibility of the project structure. Rather than having lots of different build configurations scattered around in different screens, you see all of your jobs on a single screen, as well as configuring them from that same screen. Pipelines also brings the possibility of branch-specific pipelines, making it much more flexible for your requirements. But a really cool feature is the fact we've added YAML support so that you can configure your pipelines through YAML, either through the browser UI or through your IDE. And it's important to note that this will have full compatibility with build chains. So in a future version of TeamCity, or by 2026.1, it'll be possible to link between build chains and pipelines so they can share dependencies between them. So the whole overall objective of this is to make the whole approach of configuring projects in TeamCity much more straightforward for everyone and not just TeamCity experts. And we'll see an example of pipelines in a moment. One of the other features that Ricardo mentioned was recipes. And this is the next evolution of meta runners. And the recipes can be YAML-based or XML-based actions, and these help simplify your build configurations. And think of recipes as handling tasks like setting up tools, for example, creating a text file or pinning a build. Rather than figuring out the exact commands to write within a command line build step, you can use recipes to very easily and repeatedly execute those actions. So recipes show up on the build step screen alongside the built-in steps, plus any steps that have been added through plugins. And there are recipes you can bring in from our marketplace, as well as seeing your own recipes that have been added to the server. And as Ricardo mentioned, these recipes can be published and shared on the JetBrains marketplace. And we as JetBrains have published a series of recipes on there, as well as some third-party vendors. So now let's have a look at a demonstration of what we think of the top 5 new features that we've added in the past year. So the first one is all about the improved user interface. So if you haven't seen recent versions of TeamCity, we've made some significant improvements to the user experience. One of the first things you might notice is the main menu is now down the left side of the page. So when you're kind of scrolling down the page, that menu is always visible to you without having to scroll back up to the top. And I want to give a big shout out to our front end and design teams because they've made some significant improvements here, and we'll see some significant improvements going forward into next year as well. So one of the things that's offered by the new UI is this settings toggle at the top of the screen. When we click on the settings toggle, we switch from the view mode to the edit mode. And we also color code this to make it more obvious which mode you are currently in. So in the view mode, everything is color coded blue. And then when we switch to the edit mode or the settings mode, everything is color-coded purple. One of the additional changes here is that the sidebar is visible when you're in settings mode, so you can you can stay in the settings mode while switching between different projects and build configurations, making it much easier to retain the context that you are in. Under the project settings, we've also grouped these settings to make it easier based on the type of settings that you are looking for. And if we go to one of the builds, for example, we can see a summary at the top of the screen that shows the status of the build. We can see the branch that was used. We can see how long the build was in the queue for, along with the overall duration of the build, plus the agent that was used. So all kind of quality of life improvements to the UI. The sidebar can be pinned and unpinned, so you can show and hide it and pin it and just maximize the screen real estate depending on your needs. And then also we've got the breadcrumb trail at the top of the screen, so you can navigate around very easily. So that's the first feature, so the improved user interface. The next new feature is pipelines. So I've got a project at the top of the screen here, which is kind of a traditional project. So I've got a traditional project with build configurations, and at the end of this project, we have a build chain. So we have a build chain that shows the overall structure of the project. But what I want to show is a recreation of that project in pipelines. So under my project here, if I go to the settings, we can see that as well as being able to add a build configuration and a sub-project, I have the option to add a pipeline. And we also get this option in the UI on the sidebar, so I can click here and easily add a new pipeline if needed. But let me switch back to the view mode and we'll see this pipeline. So I've recreated this project at the top using pipelines, and I've got all of the jobs laid out. And if I switch to the settings view, we can see the pipeline settings. I can click on a job within here and I can edit the steps directly. I'm not navigating between lots of different screens. And at the moment, we have a limited subset of steps that are supported, such as script, Gradle, Maven, and Node. And with each of these jobs that you select here, you can optionally enable optimizations. So if I am using a Maven or a Gradle step, I can easily toggle on parallel testing. I can enable dependency caching. And these are all, it just makes it much easier to configure these types of projects without trying to find all the different settings in the UI. You can also dynamically add new jobs. So I can, for example, rename this to deploy to App Store. And rather than selecting the dependency, you can optionally drag and drop the dependency, and this will then create the link for you. So it's just a nice way to work with the pipeline. While I'm doing this, the YAML is being updated automatically, and you can update the YAML inside of the UI here in the code editor, or you can enable synchronization with your version control repository. So we've got the ability to define jobs. You can add steps to the jobs. You can toggle on all the different features. You can also view the overall pipeline settings by clicking on the outer element here, and we can see the parameters, any secrets we've defined. You can choose when to automatically run the pipeline, and we can see and enable additional integrations such as NPM, Docker, etc. So that's feature number 2. Feature number 3 is recipes. So I've got a project here called My Simple App, and this does some testing, building, and deployment. And I've got a build configuration here that generates some version information. So it's generating a version.txt file that contains a version number 1.3.3. That's quite small there. And this version file might be used by subsequent build configurations in my build chain. And the way I've generated that version file is using one of the recipes that have been developed by JetBrains. So I can come in here, add a build step, and choose from one of the recipes in the marketplace. So I've leveraged the create text file recipe. So coming back here, we can view the step, so the public recipe create text file. I've defined the file name I want to create and populating it with the build.number, which is made up of the version.major, version.minor, and then the build.counter. So recipes provide a great way to create reusable actions and also share those within your team, as well as share them to the wider community on the marketplace. And if you haven't viewed the marketplace before, if you go to plugins.jetbrains.com, you can select TeamCity recipes from the dropdown and browse a full list of the available recipes and find out more about them. Feature number 4 is the Kubernetes executor mode. So I've got another project here on my local TeamCity server, and in this project, I've got a simple build and deploy. If we look at the build log, we can see something different here. We can see that this has been run using the Kubernetes executor mode, where the job has been offloaded to the Kubernetes cluster, and that cluster is responsible for managing all of the containers and the pods. So if we look at the project settings, the first thing I've done is create a Kubernetes connection and pointed that to my cluster. The second thing I've done is created a cloud profile. And when you create a cloud profile, you can choose from any of the providers like EC2, but we now have this Kubernetes option here, the executor option. And all I've done for this is chosen the connection and then defined the callback URL and also chosen the pod template. I've not needed to define any images here. The Kubernetes cluster is fully responsible for that. And then the final feature is conditional dependencies within the build chain. So back to one of my projects I already showed. So I've got my project here called My Simple App, and this contains a build chain that looks like this, where we run some tests. We then build for iOS, web, and Android, and deploy to those platforms also. We then have a build configuration at the end, which is a composite build configuration that aggregates and links all of those dependencies. But in my case, I might not necessarily want to execute all of those dependencies each time. Maybe I just want to build for mobile, or just build for iOS, or just build for web. And this is where conditional dependencies can be very helpful. So under the settings for this project, or rather the build configurations, I can, for example, go to build Android, and I can define parameters. And there's a parameter you can define called teamcity.configuration.tags. So essentially you can add tags to this build configuration, and you can either skip tags if they're a certain value, or only run build configurations if they have a certain tag. So you can choose to do one or the other. In this case, I'm going to run where those tags are present. So we can see we've got mobile and Android. We've got here mobile and iOS, and also desktop and web. And at the end of my build chain, I've added a parameter here called teamcity.build.chain.only-tags. And I'm presenting this as a select field, so as a drop-down value in the UI. And I've chosen or populated a list of items. So by default, with run all, it will be blank. So it will be a blank tag, and that will mean that all of the dependencies in the build chain will be executed. But if I choose mobile, it will run all of the mobile build configurations, or desktop, or iOS, and so on. I've also included a description and a label. So then if we go up here and we look at the custom run dialog, we can customize the parameters and say, rather than running the entire build chain, I just want to run the mobile portion of the build chain, so iOS and Android. So that kicks off the build chain, and we can look at the dependencies tab and see that we are now only executing the iOS and Android portion of the chain. So this provides much greater flexibility for those projects that perhaps have resource-intensive builds, or you just want to quickly bypass certain parts of the build chain. So that makes up all of the 5 new features that or some of the highlights of the 5 new features we added over the past year. So now on to the roadmap for the coming year. So as Ricardo mentioned, and as I've shown, we are adding pipelines functionality into TeamCity, and that'll be further enhanced in the November version, as well as the 2026.1 release early next year. And as I've described, the functionality and design of pipelines really helps to simplify the setup and management of your projects. 2025.07 provides the first iteration in early access form, and it'll be feature complete early next year. It's important to note that the existing approach with build configurations is still supported, so build configurations can be used instead of a pipeline. The dependency screen is still used to chain your dependencies, and in a future version of TeamCity, there will be interoperability between pipelines and build chains, so pipelines can depend on build chains and vice versa. And we have a number of key areas of focus for 2026. And we have a number of customers who maintain large environments for TeamCity, where they are maintaining thousands or tens of thousands of projects, and they're also running thousands of builds in parallel. There are a number of areas we want to address next year, including not only the UI, but also the server. And on the UI, we are focusing on the performance of loading projects within the projects, so the list of projects, but also the builds and the test history. On the server side, all about optimizing the build queue processing to make sure that build queues are processed as swiftly as possible and enabling higher concurrent builds. And also the cleanup process and the changes collecting processes are optimized further. On the UX improvement side, this is another key area of focus. Pipelines will really help promote a more straightforward way of creating and managing pipelines and multiple builds. And there'll also be simplified project, build configuration, and VCS route creation screens. We're also adopting or adding AI features into TeamCity, and there'll be some demonstrations and a walkthrough of that shortly. And these all surround productivity enhancing features, so features that will enhance the day-to-day work of users. And lastly, another key area is closer integration with the JetBrains IDEs. For example, if you are working with a game dev project, there might be like a one-click creation of a game dev pipeline, so kind of specific use cases like that. So here are some of the preliminary features and enhancements planned for 2026. And it's important to note that this isn't necessarily a complete list, and also that these are subject to change. And so in the platform side of things, so in the core of the product, we are considering the addition of dynamic build chains. And this is partially supported today, especially now that we have conditional dependencies. But we want to hear from customers if you have even further requirements for more dynamic build chains, whether that's dynamically creating build chains at build time or some other requirements. And if you do have some interest in any of these features where we have asterisks next to them, you can pass your feedback to us through the form that's shown at the bottom of the screen. If you go to this page, you'll come to our Get in Touch form, and all of the requests here come through to Ricardo and myself. So if you have any feedback on any of the items in the roadmap we've shown today, please add the details here, and we'll get you in touch with the right people within the TeamCity team. We're also considering continuous deployment for mobile and game development. So again, if you have interest there, please reach out to us. There'll be faster Kotlin DSL compilation using the K2 compiler, the ability to reorder build parameters. So some of these are quite minor, some of them are quite major. Also adding the ability to retry a failed build as soon as it fails within the build chain. So rather than wait for the build chain to finish, have the option to retry that portion immediately. And also retry a build after a specific build problem occurs. Maybe a specific pattern is found within the build output. As a heads up, we're also going to discontinue support for Java versions earlier than 21 on both the server and agent. And we're also going to make sure that TeamCity agents are compatible with Java 24 and 25. And looking at how we can simplify build number sharing within a build chain. And we have a number of customers in China, so making sure that we have UI localization so that those users can more easily use TeamCity. We're also going to be making a number of improvements to the high availability features and removing the dependency on a shared data directory between the nodes, and making it easier to configure a multi-node environment and simple round robin behind a load balancer. On the cloud integration side, we've re-implemented the Azure integration, and this makes it much more scalable to have a higher number of agents running in Azure, and this will be released shortly as a plugin, but will eventually be bundled into the product. We've also developed an image builder for AWS, and what this allows you to do is essentially create a new image that is published to AWS as an AMI, and you can bundle in any dependencies, the TeamCity agent distribution, perhaps a recent snapshot of a repository. And this makes it easier or makes more straightforward when you spin up new machines from that AMI that has all of the dependencies needed to run as an agent and quickly run your build. So if you have any feedback or you want to find out more about this feature, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you. There are some features we're looking to incorporate for enhanced agent auto-scaling, and this is all about having a minimum number of running cloud agents. So rather than waiting for an agent to start before a build is running, having a pool of pre-warmed agents or machines that can be assigned to a build as it is added to the queue, making it much quicker for builds to start. But also looking at how we can do smart scheduling of cloud agents, perhaps during business hours, have a pool of pre-warmed agents. We see Proxmox becoming more popular, so considering that as an additional cloud provider in TeamCity and Alibaba Cloud integration. On the Perforce side, there are a number of features here. Some of these are quite minor, but all about enhancing the support for Perforce within TeamCity. And on the build tool side, adding support for Maven 4, Maven Wrapper, and some updates to .NET, for example, adding support for the new SLNX file format and the Microsoft testing platform. And then lastly, the Serif static analysis reports support. So that's everything in terms of the roadmap. We'll also discuss AI roadmap in a second. I also wanted to draw attention to a new version of the JetBrains IDE plugin. This is available in the JetBrains marketplace already, and it's listed as an experimental plugin. And this provides support for both projects with build configurations as well as pipelines. So you can link your IDE project to one of those entities and easily run what we call a personal build, where you can send your uncommitted changes to the TeamCity server, and that runs as a personal build where you can verify your uncommitted changes before you commit them and perhaps break things for everyone, which we want to avoid. So this helps you spot issues early on without breaking the build for everyone. Now onto the AI roadmap, which Ricardo is going to run through.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Super excited about the roadmap for AI. Imagine having a TeamCity expert available 24/7 to answer your questions instantly. That's what we want with AI Assistant. So what this will do is to provide instant expert guidance. So you can ask TeamCity anything from basic configuration to complex troubleshooting. The AI Assistant provides real-time answers on how to set up builds, configure agents, manage dependencies, or even automate workflows. This is based on real docs, so every response is based on the official TeamCity documentation, ensuring you get accurate, up-to-date information, so no outdated answers and just reliable guidance. It also provides a build failure analysis feature, and it goes beyond just answering questions. The assistant can discuss and analyze your specific build failures, share your error, and then you can get contextual solutions tailored to your situation. It also provides a conversational interface, which is natural, fast conversations. You can just ask follow-up questions, request clarification, or dive deeper into topics. It's like chatting with a TeamCity expert right on your screen. And it's available everywhere, so it works seamlessly in both TeamCity on-premises and cloud environments, and it's powered by the trusted JetBrains AI platform. So over to Daniel just to demo this feature.
Yeah, thanks, Ricardo. Okay, so I've got a project here, and I've got a build configuration, and in the top right corner, we can see there is a new AI assistant option. So I'm going to click on this. And we can ask it any questions related to TeamCity, but also in the context of the particular screen that you're on, for example, this particular build. So maybe I just want to know, how can I configure a Slack notification? And this, as Ricardo mentioned, this is based on our documentation, so it's going to give you guidance on how to set this up. So first of all, we need to create a Slack app, but also create the Slack connection. And you then have the option, or you can then configure the notifications either as a per user basis or as part of the build configuration, perhaps if the build is a failure or it's successful. But not only that, we can also ask it questions related to the fact that the build has failed, for example. So let me just close this. We'll go to build number 46 here. We can see this failed for some reason. And I can just say, why did this build fail? Maybe I'm just too lazy to look at the build log. So it's going to hook in and find the information in the build log, and it will tell me why it failed. So we can see that there's a command line build step, and it's saying that based on the excerpt in the log, there's a particular test that failed. And the reason why it failed is here, so it expected true, but got false. And you can also see the for further details where to go. So AI Assistant is going to be a very powerful way of interacting with TeamCity, not just being able to ask it general questions, but also interrogating the build results.
Thanks. And now, just going a little bit further into what this AI Builder Analyzer is, we want to transform how you troubleshoot build failures with AI that can read logs and provide instant solutions. So what this feature will do is to provide smart log analysis. So it's AI that reads your entire build logs and extracts what matters, providing clear, actionable guidance on fixing your issues. It also could be seen as an automated investigation because it goes beyond identifying what failed. It also explains why it fails, suggests specific solutions based on your build configurations and also technology stack. It provides flexible deployment, so you can trigger manually from any build page for on-demand insights, but also enable automatic analysis for all the failed builds. And the gains are immediate, so it represents faster fixes with root causes known in seconds, not in hours, and also provides team empowerment with helping developers resolving complex issues. So maybe Daniel, you want to show how it works?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So let me go over to one of my last demos here, and we've got a build configuration here, or a build that has failed, and I've previously ran the AI build analyzer on it. And what this is doing is generating a full report that's static. So rather than the user needing to go, or each user needing to go into the AI assistant and interrogate why the build failed, we can run the build analyzer report once. It gets persisted against that build, so we can see the full analysis directly inside here for all users on this server. So it provides a great way of getting additional analysis without having to delve down into the build log and trying to pick out all the details manually and try and figure out why it has failed. And as mentioned, this is coming in TeamCity Cloud in early 2026, with enterprise support coming, so on-prem support coming in 2026.1.
Awesome. So those features we just demo are just the beginning, and here's a glimpse into the future for this unified AI experience. So the first thing is this JetBrains AI subscription integration. Soon you'll be able to manage all your AI capabilities through a single JetBrains AI subscription. One account, shared quota limits, and universal settings across all JetBrains tools. The other thing that we'll be working on is the MCP. So we are opening TeamCity Bridge Context to AI agents through the Model Context Protocol, enabling from IDE integration so that you can connect your IDE's AI assistant to understand also your TeamCity setup. It's going to have contextual awareness so that AI agents can access build history, configurations, and patterns, and custom workflows. So you can build your own AI-powered automations with having full TeamCity context. We'll also be providing automatic build fixing, so AI just not diagnosing failures, but also fixing them automatically. And another area we'll be working on is on natural language configuration. So you can speak your pipelines into existence. So you can tell TeamCity what you want in plain English, such as create a pipeline that builds my Java app, runs tests and deploys to staging. In AI, will translate your intent into fully functional configurations without any YAML expertise required. We'll also be working on the AI agent orchestration, so you'll be able to run sophisticated AI coding agents as part of your CI/CD pipeline. It will include code review agents that provide feedback on every PR, refactoring agents that improve code quality automatically, and also testing agents to generate comprehensive test suites. The vision here is to build a future where AI doesn't just help you use TeamCity, it actively participates in your development workflow.
Awesome, sounds great. So some final topics here. We want to just remind customers about an upcoming licensing model change. So we recently sent out an email to customers as well as a blog post just to notify them of the fact we're removing renewal discount for any new on-prem license purchases. So just as a reminder, if you haven't seen that announcement, which you can view on our blog, from November the 3rd this year, any new TeamCity on-premises licenses, such as TeamCity Enterprise Server or Agent, will no longer benefit from a 50% renewal discount in subsequent years. Also, the window for renewing existing licenses with the 50% discounted rate will be shortened from 12 months to 1 month after expiry. So as long as you renew within 1 month after expiry, you still retain the 50% discount on your existing licenses. It's important to note that existing licenses, so those purchased before November the 3rd, will retain or lock in the 50% renewal discount as long as they are renewed on time. So just a kind of reminder here, any new licenses that you purchase before November the 3rd can lock in that discount on those licenses. On the support side of things, we've offered TeamCity support from our in-house support team for a number of years. The support team are primarily located in Central Europe, so we primarily work during those hours. There is some crossover with other time zones. There's no guaranteed SLA for response times. We use a ticketing-based system, but just wanted to remind customers that we now have business and enterprise support plans at JetBrains, and these are designed as unified support plans that cover all JetBrains product licenses, including TeamCity. Business support provides 24/7 support, as well as guaranteed SLAs for urgent issues, as well as a private communication channel such as Slack. We also have an enterprise support plan that also provides 24/7 support with enhanced SLAs for both urgent and standard requests, as well as a certain number of hours for on-call support sessions and a dedicated technical account manager to help you with your TeamCity and other JetBrains products usage. So if you have any interest in those support services, feel free to reach out to us. And Ricardo is now going to talk about professional services at JetBrains.
Yeah, sure. So the first topic on this professional service segment that I wanted to bring your attention to is the deployment and migration assistance. So basically, we understand that migrating from plugin heavy systems can be complex. And we have a professional services team that specializes in the seamless translations, handling the intricate work of transferring configurations, preserving build history, and adapting workflows to TeamCity architecture. We have done this hundreds of times, so please let our experience guide you your journey with TeamCity. The migration should go beyond the migration and also include optimization. So it's just not about moving data. It's also a chance for you to reimagine your CI/CD pipeline. We can help you eliminate redundant steps and optimize build chains and build times. We can implement TeamCity best practices from day one and design scalable configurations that grow with your needs. The other topic is on the custom plugin development. So this is for when the out-of-the-box isn't enough. We can help you to build exactly what you need. Think about extending TeamCity power. And while TeamCity provides extensive functionality out of the box, we understand that every organization has its unique requirements. So our plugin development as services bridge the gap between TeamCity core capabilities and your specific business needs. Some examples could be integrating with proprietary internal tools or building a custom reporting metrics dashboard. So we can help you building those plugins that make TeamCity work exactly how it needs to be.
Awesome. Thanks, Ricardo. So just as a reminder, if you have any feedback regarding some of the items we've discussed on the roadmap slides today, feel free to reach out to us using the Get in Touch form on our website, and Ricardo or myself will get back to you. And now let's go and see if we've got any questions in the chat. I guess there are no questions, which is good.
Yeah.
Cool. So I just wanted to thank everyone for their time today. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.